Captain Elias walked through the grand hall of the alien palace, the walls shining with strange crystals that pulsed like living veins. The alien baron had summoned him after the long war against the raiders. Elias had fought with courage and saved many lives, but he did not know why the baron wanted to see him alone. The baron sat on a high throne made of dark stone, his tall body wrapped in robes of silver and black. His eyes were cold but carried hidden fire. Around him stood guards with spears made of plasma. They did not move, they only watched. "Human," the baron said, his voice deep like thunder across the hall. "You have served with honor. You have saved my fleets. You have done what even my generals could not. For that, I give you a gift." Elias bowed slightly, his heart uneasy. A gift from an alien noble was never simple. A gift could be wealth, or it could be a chain. From the shadows, two servants came forward, carrying a long black box. It was not metal, not wood, but something between. It glowed faintly with blue lines that shifted like rivers. The servants placed the box in front of Elias, then stepped back quickly, as if they feared to touch it longer than they had to. Elias stared at it, the surface alive with symbols he could not read. The baron's lips curled into a thin smile. "Take it," the baron ordered. "Open it when you are alone, and remember this moment. Your life will never be the same again." Elias swallowed hard. He did not trust the tone. He did not trust the smile. Still, he stepped forward, his boots echoing on the crystal floor. With both hands, he lifted the box. It was heavy but not impossible. The glow pulsed faster when he touched it, almost like a heartbeat. The baron leaned back, his eyes sharp as blades. "A gift of gratitude. Human, treasure it." Elias wanted to ask what was inside, but the words died on his lips. He knew the baron would not answer, not directly. In alien courts, questions were dangerous. Sometimes knowing less meant staying alive. With slow steps, Elias left the hall. The guard's eyes followed him. He felt like prey carrying a trap. The air outside was cold, but the box in his hands felt warm, too warm, as if it carried a secret flame. Back on his ship, Elias set the box on the metal table of his quarters. He sat down, staring at it. His reflection looked back at him from the glossy surface. The blue lines twisted and formed shapes that almost looked like eyes. He reached out, then pulled his hand away quickly. "What are you?" he whispered, his voice low. His heart beat heavy. He thought of the baron's words. "Your life will never be the same." He stood, pacing the small room. Should he open it now? Should he wait? What if it was a weapon? What if it was poison? But why call it a gift? Why give it to him? The box pulsed again, the glow stronger now. Elias felt as if it wanted to be opened. His instincts screamed warning, but his curiosity fought harder. He had seen strange alien tech before, but nothing like this, nothing that seemed alive. Elias touched the surface again. This time the box hummed softly. The lines spread out like wings, forming a circle at the center. It was waiting for him. He pulled his hand back, breathing fast. He could not shake the feeling that inside was not gold, not jewels, not a simple prize, but something far greater and far more dangerous. The hum grew louder. His ship's lights flickered. Elias cursed under his breath. He had a choice. He could leave it sealed, return it, or he could open it and face whatever waited. His mind raced, but one truth was clear. Whatever was inside was not just a gift. It was a test, a trap, or maybe even a plea for help. Elias clenched his jaw, staring at the glowing box as if it stared back at him. In the silence of space, the hum echoed like a heartbeat, slow and steady, calling to him. And though he did not open it yet, Elias knew one thing. His life had already begun to change. Elias stood in his quarters, the black, glowing box before him. His hands rested on the table, trembling slightly. He had faced death in battle. He had stared into the eyes of monsters. But this gift filled him with a fear he could not name. The hum of the box echoed like a heart, steady and alive. The more he stared, the more it pulled him closer. The symbols on the surface shifted again, moving like rivers of light, forming shapes he almost understood but not quite. His translator implant gave no meaning. That made him uneasy. Most alien tech could be scanned, analyzed, broken down into patterns. This box resisted all logic. Elias walked to the panel on the wall and locked the doors. No crew would enter without his command. He did not want anyone to see this until he knew the truth. He returned to the table and touched the surface again. The box grew warmer, and the blue lines spread into a circle. A seam appeared, faint and thin. "All right," Elias muttered under his breath. "Let's see what you are." With a deep breath, he pressed against the seam. The surface gave way with a hiss. The glow brightened until the room was bathed in pale blue light. Slowly, the lid lifted, as if it moved on its own. A rush of cool air spread out, carrying a faint scent of flowers mixed with something metallic. Elias leaned forward, his eyes narrowing, his breath caught in his throat. Inside was not treasure, not a weapon, not strange alien crystals. Inside was a girl. She lay curled on her side, her skin pale with a faint shimmer, almost like silver dust had been brushed across her body. Her hair was long, flowing, a deep shade of blue that caught the light like water. A thin white gown covered her form, delicate but torn at the edges. Her chest rose and fell slowly. She was alive. Elias stepped back, shock freezing his body. A living being, given as a gift. His mind raced. Was this slavery? Was this punishment? What game was the Baron playing? He wanted to slam the lid shut, pretend he had never opened it, but he could not look away. The girl shifted, a soft sound escaping her lips. Her eyelids fluttered, and slowly, she opened her eyes. They glowed faintly, not human, not any species Elias had ever seen. A soft silver mixed with blue. They looked straight at him, filled with fear, confusion, and something else, resignation. She tried to sit up, but her body was weak. Elias moved forward without thinking, reaching to steady her. She recoiled, pressing against the side of the box. Her voice broke in a whisper, the words barely formed. "Please, don't hurt me." Elias froze, his chest tightened. This was no weapon. This was no experiment. This was a girl who believed she had been handed to another master. "I won't," Elias said softly, raising his hands to show peace. "You're safe here." She stared at him, her eyes wide. Her lips trembled. She tried again, her words rough, broken. "He gave me away." Elias's blood ran cold. He knew who she meant. The Baron, the noble who sat on a throne of stone, the one who smiled as if this gift was honor. In truth, it was betrayal. "Why?" Elias asked, his voice low. The girl shook her head, tears forming. Her thin fingers clutched the edge of the box, as if holding on to the only thing solid in her world. For a long moment, silence filled the room. Only the hum of the ship surrounded them. Elias's mind turned like storm winds. This girl was not just anyone. The markings on her skin, faint glowing lines on her arms and neck, told him she was special, bloodline, heritage, something powerful. He remembered the Baron's last words. "Your life will never be the same again." Now he understood. The Baron had not given him a gift. He had given him a burden, a secret, maybe even a curse. The girl's breathing grew faster, panic in her eyes. "They will come," she whispered, her voice shaking. "They will find me." Elias's stomach tightened. He stepped closer, gently helping her sit up. She was light, fragile, as if she had been starved of strength. He pulled a blanket from his bunk and wrapped it around her shoulders. She blinked at the gesture, surprised. "Listen," Elias said firmly. "No one will hurt you while you are on my ship. Not while I live." Her lips parted. Her eyes searched his face. For the first time, the fear in her gaze softened, not gone, but less sharp. She gave a small nod. Elias sat back, running a hand through his hair. He needed answers. Who was she? Why had the Baron given her to him? What danger was coming? He looked at her again, fragile but alive, and a spark of determination burned in his chest. Whatever this was, whatever game the Baron had set, Elias knew one thing. He would not let this girl be broken, not by nobles, not by assassins, not by anyone. Outside the ship, space stretched endless and dark, but inside his quarters, a new story had begun. The story of a human and an alien girl who should never have met, yet whose fates were now tied together by a gift that was no gift at all. The ship drifted through the quiet of space, its engines humming low. Elias sat on the edge of his bunk, watching the alien girl wrapped in the blanket he had given her. She was awake now, though weak, her silver blue eyes scanning the room as if searching for escape. She held herself tight, knees to chest, like a child hiding from a storm. Elias leaned forward, his voice calm. You don't have to be afraid. No one here will hurt you. Her gaze shifted to him. Cautious, her lips moved slowly, words broken. You not like them. Elias frowned. Them? Who are they? She lowered her eyes, refusing to answer. Instead, she pressed her hands against the markings on her arms, glowing faint lines that pulsed like veins of light. Elias stared at them, uneasy. He had seen many alien cultures, many tribes and bloodlines, but never this. Your name? Elias asked softly. What's your name? Her lips trembled, as if the very act of speaking it was dangerous. Finally she whispered, Liara. The name carried weight, strange and beautiful. Elias repeated it quietly. Liara. She flinched slightly at the sound, then gave the smallest nod. He leaned back, trying to piece it together. The Baron had given him this girl, a living being, as a gift. Why? He remembered her words. He gave me away. Elias could feel the puzzle forming, but the pieces were scattered. Liara finally lifted her gaze again, her voice shaking. Baron, fear me. Elias blinked. Fear you? What? She clutched the blanket tighter, her body trembling. I am. Last one. Last one of what? Elias pressed. Her silver blue eyes filled with sorrow. My family, my house, all gone. The words hit Elias like a blade. He had heard whispers of noble wars between alien dynasties, houses rising and falling. He realized then that Liara was not some servant or prisoner. She was a survivor of a bloodline. The Baron had taken her, kept her, and when she became a burden, he handed her off like discarded treasure. Liara's voice dropped lower, almost a whisper only meant for the walls. He could not kill me. If he kill me. Others asked question, so he give me away. Elias's fists tightened. He understood the game now. The Baron had painted him into a corner. If Liara was discovered on his ship, he would be seen as hiding her, protecting her, and that meant becoming a target for whoever wanted her dead. Liara shivered, her eyes darting to the door. They will come. They always come. Hunters, killers, they follow. Elias felt a cold knot in his stomach. This was not just politics. This was survival. The Baron had given him a living beacon for death. Still, when Elias looked at her, fragile, trembling, yet still breathing, he could not see her as a burden. He saw a young woman who had lost everything, who had been treated as a prize to pass from hand to hand. His human heart refused to abandon her. You're safe here, Elias said again, stronger this time. His voice carried steel. Whoever comes, I'll deal with them. Liara's lips parted, disbelief shining in her eyes. Why? You? Human, you owe nothing. Elias leaned closer, meeting her gaze. Because you deserve to live, because no one has the right to give away a life as a gift. For a moment, silence filled the room. The hum of the ship seemed distant. Liara's eyes softened. Her shoulders dropped, some of the tension fading. She studied him as if trying to understand why he would speak such words. Then, softly, almost too soft to hear, she whispered, Human different. Elias stood and moved toward the control panel. Rest now. We'll find answers later. He dimmed the lights, letting her sink back into the blanket. Her breathing slowed, exhaustion pulling her into uneasy sleep. But Elias did not rest. He sat in the corner of the room, eyes on the glowing box that still hummed faintly even though it was open. His mind raced. The Baron had not only given him Liara, he had given him a war waiting to happen, a secret too dangerous to hold, but too human to abandon. Hours passed, but Elias remained awake. His hand rested on his sidearm, his ears sharp for any sound. Somewhere deep in his chest, he felt it. The story of his life had changed forever, and Liara was now at the center of it. And though he did not yet know her full truth, he knew one thing with certainty. Protecting her would bring enemies he had never faced before, enemies who would stop at nothing to claim the gift the Baron had so carefully given away. The ship floated in the black sea of space, silent except for the steady hum of its engines. Elias stood in the command deck, staring at the stars. His thoughts churned like a storm. The Baron's smile haunted him. Those words, "Your life will never be the same," echoed in his mind. Behind him, Liara sat in the co-pilot's chair, wrapped in the blanket. Her silver blue eyes stared at nothing, lost in thoughts of her past. She looked fragile, but Elias knew her presence carried danger. She was not only a survivor, she was a symbol, a living claim to power. He activated the comms system, scanning channels for news. It did not take long before whispers surfaced. A coded transmission from a nearby trade hub spoke of bounty hunters on the move. A lost heir had been spotted. The reward for her capture was enough to buy a fleet. Elias cursed under his breath. The Baron had known this would happen. He had not given Elias a gift. He had painted a target on his back. By holding Liara, Elias would be seen as a player in a war he did not start. Liara turned to him slowly, her voice quiet. They know already. Elias met her gaze. Yes, they're coming, aren't they? She nodded weakly. Hunters never stop. As long as I breathe, they hunt. Elias gripped the console. His hands shook, but not from fear, from anger. He hated the Baron's game. He hated the way nobles treated lives like tools. He looked back at Liara. Tell me everything. I need to know why they want you dead. Her lips trembled. She lowered her gaze. For a moment, Elias thought she would remain silent. But then she spoke, her words slow, heavy. My family ruled House Saralis. We kept peace on 3 worlds. We were respected. My father refused a war the Baron wanted, so the Baron destroyed us. Elias clenched his jaw. Rage burned inside him. The Baron had crushed a dynasty just for power, and Liara, she was the last spark of that bloodline. Too dangerous to kill, too dangerous to keep. So he had given her away to a human, hoping the problem would solve itself. Liara's voice broke as she continued. He kept me locked, said I was a jewel, but really, I was a threat. If others found me, they would rise, fight him. He feared me. Elias stepped closer, his voice steady. You are not a threat. You are a person. You deserve more than being used. Her eyes widened, shimmering with unshed tears. She whispered, why you care? Elias held her gaze. Because I'm human, and humans don't throw away lives like scraps. For the first time, Liara's lips curved into the faintest smile, small but real. Before Elias could speak again, alarms blared across the ship. Red lights flashed. The sensors picked up incoming vessels, fast and armed. Elias rushed to the console, his fingers flying across the keys. 3 ships, mercenary class, approaching from starboard. Hunters, Liara whispered, her body tense. She gripped the blanket tighter, fear written on her face. Elias activated the defense systems, cannons sliding out from hidden panels on the hull. His voice was cold steel now. Stay down. I'll handle this. The mercenary ships hailed them. A crackling voice filled the cabin. Human captain, you carry something that does not belong to you. Surrender the girl, and maybe we let you live. Elias felt fire rise in his chest. He pressed the comm button, his voice sharp. She belongs to no one. You'll get nothing from me. Laughter echoed from the other side. Then you'll burn. The ships opened fire, beams of red light slashing across the darkness. Elias gritted his teeth, spinning the ship hard. He fired back, plasma bolts lighting the void. The battle shook the small vessel. Alarms screamed, but Elias's focus was unbreakable. Liara clung to the seat, watching him. For the first time, she saw not just a soldier, but a protector who fought not for power, not for reward, but for her. Through fire and smoke, Elias struck back. One mercenary ship exploded in a flash. The second spun out of control. The third pulled away, its pilot realizing this human was no easy prey. Silence returned, broken only by the crackle of dying sparks. Elias breathed hard, sweat on his brow. He checked the systems, damaged but still running. Liara stared at him, her voice soft, trembling. You fight for me, why? Elias looked at her, his jaw firm. Because someone has to, because the Baron thinks he can play games with lives, and I won't let him win. She looked down, her fingers brushing the glowing marks on her arms. For the first time, she did not see herself as a curse. For the first time, she began to believe she might have a future. But in the silence of the ship, Elias knew the truth. This fight was only the beginning. The Baron would not stop. Others would come. And protecting Liara meant walking into a war that could consume them both. The ship drifted through a field of shattered asteroids, broken stones glowing faintly from past mining blasts. Elias guided the vessel carefully, weaving between rocks. His hands were steady on the controls, but his jaw was tight. He knew the mercenaries would not give up. Liara sat behind him, wrapped in the blanket. Her eyes followed every movement. She had stopped trembling, but fear still clung to her face. She whispered, "They will come again, stronger. They never stop." Elias did not look back, his voice firm. "Then we keep moving. We find a way. Hunters may chase, but I don't run forever." Liara tilted her head, confusion flickering across her eyes. "Why fight? You could give me back. You could live free." Elias's hands gripped the console harder. "Free at the cost of your life? That's not freedom. That's slavery, and humans don't trade lives like coins." She fell silent, studying him. His words carried a weight she had never heard before. Nobles spoke of power, bargains, and control. This human spoke of worth, of choice. It felt alien, yet warm. The sensors beeped suddenly. Elias cursed under his breath. On the screen, 2 more ships appeared, larger than the last hunters, armored with heavy guns. They blocked the narrow path through the asteroid belt. "Traps," Liara whispered, her eyes wide. "They wait for me everywhere." Elias swung the ship sharply, engines roaring. Laser fire cut through space, striking the rocks around them. Explosions shook the vessel. Liara grabbed the seat, her voice trembling. "We cannot win. They too strong." Elias's voice was sharp. "Maybe, but we can survive." He flipped a switch, releasing small drones from the ship's belly. They scattered through the asteroids, sending false signals and flashes of light. Confused, the hunters fired blindly, blasting stones instead of his ship. Elias pushed the engines, slipping through a narrow gap between 2 massive rocks. The ship scraped metal against stone, sparks flying, but they made it through. Behind them, one of the hunters crashed into the asteroid, exploding in fire. The second swerved, trying to chase. Elias turned hard, pulling the ship into the shadow of a large floating rock. He killed the main lights. The enemy ship rushed past, missing them in the darkness. Elias then fired a sudden shot, striking its engines. The vessel spun, crippled, drifting into the void. Silence returned, heavy and cold. Elias leaned back, exhaling. "That should buy us some time." Liara stared at him, wonder in her eyes. "You fight like no one I know." Elias gave a faint smile. "That's because I'm human. We don't know how to quit." Her lips curved into the smallest smile, fragile but real. It was the first time Elias had seen her look anything but broken. Hours passed. The ship hid in the shadows of the asteroid belt. Systems flickered with damage. Elias worked to repair what he could. His hands moved across wires and panels, sparks biting at his skin. Liara watched quietly, then slowly stood. She touched the console, her glowing markings lighting up. To Elias's shock, the systems responded, power surging back. He blinked, staring at her. "You did that?" Liara nodded shyly. "My blood, my house. We bind with machines. They answer to us. I still weak, but I can help." Elias felt a mix of relief and unease. She was more than just a symbol. She carried power in her very veins that made her even more valuable and even more hunted. "Thank you," Elias said softly. His voice carried honesty. She lowered her gaze and used to such words. Suddenly, the comm crackled again. A voice filled the cabin. It was not a hunter this time. It was a whisper on an open channel, distorted but clear enough. "Captain Elias, the Baron sends his regards. He says enjoy your gift while you can. Others are coming, many others." Elias's blood turned to fire. The Baron was watching, mocking him. This was not only a gift, it was a death sentence wrapped in silk. He slammed the comms off, anger burning in his chest. Liara's face paled. "He knows where we are." Elias placed a hand on his blaster, his eyes sharp. "Then let him come. I'll protect you, no matter how many he sends." Liara's voice broke softly. "Why risk so much?" Elias looked at her, his voice steady. "Because you were given away like you were nothing, and I refuse to let anyone treat you like nothing again." The silence that followed was not heavy with fear, but with something new. Trust. Liara's eyes softened, her voice low. "Then maybe I's safe with you." Elias gave a small nod, determination burning in his eyes. He knew the Baron's trap had only just begun, but if the galaxy wanted a fight, then he would give them one. And for the first time, Liara began to believe she was not a burden, but someone worth saving. The silence inside the ship felt heavy, broken only by the soft hum of damaged engines. Elias stood at the main console, his eyes fixed on the navigation charts. He knew the Baron would not stop. The mercenaries and hunters would keep coming, wave after wave, until either Liara was captured or both of them were dead. Liara sat on the bunk behind him, the blanket draped across her shoulders. Her glowing markings pulsed faintly, a reminder of the power in her blood. She watched Elias, her voice soft. "You cannot fight them all. They are too many." Elias turned, his jaw set. "Maybe I can't fight them all, but I can fight enough, long enough to make them regret coming after us." Liara tilted her head, her silver blue eyes searching his face. "Why risk your life for me? You owe me nothing. My people are gone. I am broken." Elias stepped closer, kneeling so he was eye level with her. His voice was calm but strong. "You are not broken. You're alive. That's enough. And as long as you're alive, you matter. The Baron wants you to believe you're worthless. He's wrong. Humans don't throw people away. Not while we can still fight for them." Her lips trembled, her eyes filled with tears. She whispered, "You speak like no one else. You fight like no one else. Maybe. Humans are different." Before Elias could answer, alarms screamed across the cabin. Red lights flashed. The sensors showed incoming ships. 5 this time, armed and fast, closing in on their position. Elias's face hardened. He moved to the weapons console, his fingers flying across the keys. "They found us. Hold on." Liara stood, her legs shaky but determined. She touched the console beside him, her markings glowing brighter. The ship's systems surged, weapons charging faster than before. Elias glanced at her, surprised. She met his eyes, her voice steady. "If I hide, we both die. I will help, even if it costs me." Elias nodded, respect in his gaze. Together they worked. The enemy ships spread out, surrounding them like wolves. A voice cut through the comms, harsh and cruel. "Human captain, surrender the girl, and you may live a little longer." Elias hit the comms button, his voice ice. "Tell the Baron I don't take orders from cowards." The battle began. Beams of energy lit the dark void, shaking the ship. Elias fired back, guided by instinct and years of combat. Liara boosted the shields with her strange bond to the systems. Every time the ship took a hit, she winced, but she refused to stop. One hunter ship burst into flames, scattering debris. Another tried to flank them, but Elias spun the vessel hard, firing point blank. The enemy exploded. The remaining ships pressed harder, determined to crush them. Liara gasped, her body trembling. Her markings glowed fiercely. They pushed too strong, shields breaking. Elias gritted his teeth. "Then we break them first." He launched a spread of mines, the small spheres scattering behind the ship. 2 enemy vessels charged after them. Hitting the mines, both ships ripped apart in fire. The last mercenary vessel turned, retreating into the shadows, unwilling to face the human and his strange ally. Silence returned. The ship drifted among the wreckage. Elias's chest heaved, sweat dripping down his brow. He checked the systems, battered but alive. He turned to Liara, who slumped against the console, weak but breathing. He moved quickly, steadying her. "You pushed too hard." Her lips curved into a faint smile. "I told you. I help, not hide." Elias stared at her, admiration in his eyes. "You're stronger than you think." She looked back at him, her voice soft. "No. You make me strong. When you fight, I believe I can fight too." For a moment, the war outside faded. In that small ship, trust had grown into something deeper, not yet spoken, but real. Elias stood, moving back to the console. "The Baron sent those ships. He won't stop until he gets what he wants." His voice hardened. "Then maybe it's time I stop running. Maybe it's time I face him head on." Liara's eyes widened. "You would challenge him? A Baron? His power is vast." Elias's gaze was sharp, his voice calm. "Power means nothing if you use it to crush others. The Baron thinks he can treat lives like toys. I'll show him what happens when a human says no." Liara's heart pounded. She had been given away as a gift, a prisoner of games. But now, with this human, she began to see another path. A path where she was not hunted prey, but a person worth protecting. In the cold silence of space, the fire of human resolve burned brighter than the stars. The ship limped through the endless dark, its hull scarred from battle. Elias sat in the pilot's seat, his eyes fixed ahead, his jaw was tight, his thoughts sharp. He had run long enough. He knew the Baron would never stop. Not while Liara lived. Not while she carried the blood of her house. Behind him, Liara sat quietly, her blanket draped across her shoulders. Her silver blue eyes watched him. She could feel the weight pressing on him, yet his spirit did not break. For the first time since her capture, she believed safety was possible, not because the galaxy was kind, but because this human refused to let her fall. Elias spoke, his voice calm but strong. "I'm done running. It's time we face the Baron." Liara's breath caught. "He will destroy you. His fleets are vast, his power endless." Elias turned, meeting her gaze. "Power means nothing if it's built on fear. Humans don't bow to tyrants. We fight them." Her lips parted, her chest heavy. Slowly she nodded. "Then we fight." The ship slipped into orbit above the Baron's world. The palace stood like a fortress of stone and crystal, towers piercing the sky. Elias landed on a hidden plateau. Engines cooled. Silence surrounded them. Elias strapped on his blaster, checking its charge. Liara touched his arm, her voice low. "You could still leave me. You could live free." He placed his hand over hers, his eyes steady. "I don't abandon people, not ever. If I walk away, I stop being human." Tears shimmered in her eyes. She whispered, "Then I walk with you." Together, they entered the palace. Guards filled the halls, weapons drawn. But Elias moved like a storm, precise and unyielding. Blaster fire lit the corridors. His human strength and stubborn will carried him forward. Liara followed close, her markings glowing brighter. The machines in the palace stirred at her presence, doors opening, systems bending to her will. At last, they stood before the great hall. The Baron sat on his throne of black stone. His eyes gleamed as he rose, a cruel smile spreading across his face. "Human," he thundered, "you should have surrendered the girl. Instead, you bring her back. You've saved me the trouble." Elias stepped forward, his voice sharp. "You call her a gift, but she's not yours to give. She's not a jewel, not a weapon. She's a person, and I won't let you treat her like nothing." The Baron laughed, the sound cold. "You dare lecture me? You are one man. I command legions. I destroy houses. Who are you to defy me?" Elias raised his blaster, his voice steady as steel. "I'm human, and that's enough." At that moment, Liara stepped forward, her glowing marks blazing with light. Her voice rang clear for the first time, not broken, not weak, but strong. "I am Liara of House Seralise, last heir of the bloodline you tried to erase, and I choose my protector, not my master." The palace shook, systems responding to her blood. The walls lit with the same silver-blue glow. The Baron's guards faltered, their weapons failing, machines bent to Liara's command. The Baron's eyes widened in fury. He charged forward, his weapon raised. Elias met him head-on. Their fight echoed through the hall, human strength against alien might. In the end, Elias's resolve cut deeper than the Baron's arrogance. With a final strike, the tyrant fell, his throne shattering. Silence filled the hall, broken only by the hum of machines bowing to Liara's bloodline. She stood tall, her breath shaking. She looked at Elias, her voice soft but firm. "You gave me back my voice, my choice, my life. I will never forget." Elias lowered his blaster, his chest heaving. He gave a faint smile. "You're free now. No Baron, no chains, just you." Liara stepped closer, her eyes bright with emotion. "Not just me. You, human. You are part of my story now." Outside, the stars stretched endless and dark, but inside the broken palace, hope burned bright. A Baron had fallen, a survivor had risen, and a human had proven once again that no empire, no tyrant, could break the resolve of humanity.